Hello and welcome to EdYou Pulse, your weekly roundup of events, developments, and conversations in the education sector. I'm Caroline Samuel, and on this week's episode, we highlight Guyana's Caribbean Area Network for Quality Assurance in Tertiary Education chapter to strengthen the quality of tertiary education, the start of the JOF Haynes debating competition, the Classroom Connect team and their visit to students in Region 10, and the National Grade 6 assessment, which was held this week. All that and more on this episode of EdYou Pulse. Stay with us. Calling all grade 11 students across Guyana, this is your chance to boost your math skills for free. The Ministry of Education is bringing math tents to locations across the country every Saturday until May 9th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Get support from trained math specialists, build your confidence, and practice real CSEC past paper questions. All you need to bring is your writing materials, a notebook, and a willingness to learn. Find the tent closest to you and take the next step towards success. Don't miss out. Your future starts now. With significantly increased opportunities for tertiary education and training in Guyana, a transparent and internationally aligned quality assurance system is crucial. Thus, on Monday last, the Honorable Minister of Education, Sonia Parag, officially launched the Guyana chapter of the Caribbean Area Network for Quality Assurance in Tertiary Education. This strategic move, hosted by the National Accreditation Council, ensures that the rapid expansion seen through initiatives like the Guyana Online Academy of Learning Gold Scholarship Program is matched by rigorous academic standards. During the launch, Minister Parag emphasized the government's commitment to this balance, noting that her ministry's goal is to ensure that every qualification is valuable and credible, and thereby build a workforce that is equipped to lead Guyana into the future. By fostering regional collaboration and institutional strengthening, this new chapter of the Caribbean Area Network for Quality Assurance in Tertiary Education will act as a vital framework for maintaining excellence across universities and technical institutes. For years, you've tuned in to EdYou FM on 99.7 FM for education, entertainment, and edutainment. But now, we're making the big switch.
Switch your dial from 99.7 FM to 99.5 FM.
Same edutaining mission to educate communities across Guyana.
EdYou FM, now on 99.5 FM in Regions 3, 4, and 5.
Don't wait, make the switch!
The JOF Haynes Memorial Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition kicked off on Tuesday, April 28 at the National Center for Education Resource Development, NCERD. Proposing team North Rheinveld Secondary and opposing team Mackenzie High School debated the moot. The implementation of the Safe Road Intelligent System, SRIS, is a more effective deterrent for road accidents in Guyana than physical police presence. Sean Hart, Azaria Hines, and Antonia Naughton represented North Rheinveld Secondary in Georgetown, while Neflaya Farrell, Tahir Gomes, and Ria Prasad represented Mackenzie High from Region 10, who emerged as the winners of the first debate at NCERD. The remainder of Round 1 concluded on Wednesday, April 29, and Santa Rosa Secondary, Anai Secondary, Fort Wellington Secondary, New Amsterdam Secondary, West Demerara Secondary, and Mackenzie High have all advanced to Round 2, which is scheduled for Wednesday, the 13th of May, 2026. The JOF Haynes Debating Competition is a prestigious event that fosters intellectual growth, public speaking abilities, and analytical thinking among secondary school students. Named in honor of distinguished Guyanese legal luminary and advocate for education, Joseph Oscar Fitzclarence Haynes, who was also revered for his eloquence and oratorical skills, This debating competition has served as a platform for shaping future leaders and policy influencers. The Distance Education Unit's Classroom Connect team was in Region 10 this week at the recently constructed Bamia Primary School, showcasing the work of the Guyana Learning Channel and EdYou FM to the students and exposing them to possible career opportunities. More than 15,000 learners across the country sat the National Grade 6 assessment on Wednesday and Thursday. And well-wishers showed up in their numbers at the exam centers to offer encouragement and moral support to the students. A total of 15,935 candidates registered to sit this year's exam, a small but noticeable increase from last year's 15,784 pupils. Education Minister Sonia Parag visited the new Diamond Grove Primary School, where 154 students wrote the examinations. And during her visit, she outlined the programs and initiatives implemented by the ministry to support the learners' preparation for this year's exam.
Here at the Diamond Grove Primary School, it's one of the largest primary schools on the East Bank, and currently they have 154 students sitting the NGSE exams today and tomorrow. I am so privileged to be here this morning, and I wish I could have been at all of the schools giving best wishes to all of our students, but nonetheless, I want to wish all of our children writing exams today and tomorrow all the best from myself, from the president, from our cabinet. And I know that they have been working hard because I've been to some of the schools, also sat in on some of the virtual classes, as well as some of the tents that we had set up. And this is what I want to talk about, some of the initiatives that the Ministry of Education would have launched, not only in 2025 leading to the 2026 exams, but also prior to that. There would have been interventions that, of course, there are short-term interventions, but long-term interventions too, as in terms of the teaching and teaching method and the training of teachers to ensure that we strengthen our delivery in some areas and some topics. So we've also been in a short space of time set up tents, NGSA tents at various schools, and I believe this was one of the schools, or in this area there was a maths tent that was set up specifically for grade 6 students, as well as across the country schedules were sent out, and it brought students from different schools together and taught by different teachers in specific topic areas so that they would be able to strengthen their knowledge in those areas and prepare them better for these exams. But I have no doubt that our grade 6 students will perform well for NGSA, given the interventions, the investment, the resources that we have provided in terms of textbooks, in terms of past papers, all that have been available through the Ministry of Education. And we have encouraged not only teachers and students, but parents to access what we have available so that students can better prepare themselves for these exams. So I have no doubt that they will perform. And I know that with these exams, there comes a level of nervousness, a level of panic, not only, and I think more so with the parents, because it's a big day and it takes a child from the level of primary school into secondary school, and it's a very important 2 days. But I just want parents to know that we are working at the Ministry of Education and through the government to ensure that our children have the best resources, that they will be able to perform well, and not only for the country but for themselves, for individual development as well, because we recognize that our children, no matter how you twist it and turn it, they are the future of our country. They are the future of our development. And so we have to nurture that. And
with NGSA concluded and the Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate CSEC exams ongoing, let's hear from Minister Parag on the ministry's 5-year plan to improve results, particularly in mathematics.
mathematics has always been a subject that is challenging for CSEC especially. And I don't think it's a Guyana problem. It's been happening across the Caribbean. We've spoken to CXC, or the Caribbean Examinations Council. We've had an in-depth conversation and discussion with them because they visited at the last part of last year. I believe it was maybe October that we had that conversation, somewhere around September, October. And what I found coming into the ministry is that because the results across the Caribbean has been not what we would like it to be. We were at 32% in 2025. In 2024, the Ministry of Education, after having a look at the results, would have started a maths intervention program whereby they brought in maths monitors. So it's various, it's maths teachers, it would have been retired teachers, bringing them together, but also they would become maths monitors, and there was a particular unit that was set up for that intervention. So what that did was to take maths monitors or maths teachers who would be monitoring several schools in relation to the teaching of mathematics and the curriculum for mathematics and how that is taught, and making sure that the curriculum is being covered in the schools. And what you did see in 2025 was an increase by 5% of in the area of mathematics, or the subject of mathematics. And I've said to people, you look at 5% and you say that it's a very small number or a very small percentage, but it really covers about 500 students. And it was really about 500 students who improved in mathematics. Now, what that intervention aimed to do was to look at the schools where you had the lowest scores and making sure that you bring that up. So, and then you also have the regions that are very populated, region 3, region 4, and the coastal regions. But coming into the ministry, I realized that the hinterland did not have that program as much. So what we did was we increased the maths monitors from 50 something to about 84. And we placed them strategically in the hinterland. So the hinterland regions and schools, regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, gained from about 18 maths monitors. So not only did we do that, but we also realized that they needed to have better access. They needed to have the teaching of mathematics. And you have teachers who are very good at mathematics, and we wanted to make sure that we utilize them utilize them also in the hinterland or interior regions. So we set up smart boards in the classrooms, and several schools were able to connect and have those classes, mathematics classes, be taught through those connections. So you had 18 schools benefiting from that. I would have sat in it myself, saw how it's being taught. In addition to that, I believe, though, that we needed to strengthen or have stronger interventions in that program, in that particular subject area. So what I did is that the digital school was launched, as you know, in December of 2025. And the digital school also provides teaching for lessons for mathematics. So we ensured that we went into every school and had grades 10 and grades 11 students sign up for those classes. But it wasn't just mathematics. Of course, it's all CSEC subjects. But we found that in mathematics particularly, you had a large number of students. And of course, that school is also open to the wider Caribbean. So we're not only assisting with Guyanese, but also our sister countries in the Caribbean. But I found that we are, and I've asked for several for feedback from several schools, and we have had students saying that they found it to be beneficial. They have been logging on religiously, and it provides access to students who may not be able to have private lessons. Their parents would not afford private lessons, this gives them the opportunity to be taught, to benefit even more outside of the classroom settings. The Maths 10th was one of the things that we introduced for the first time in the Ministry of Education, in relation to not only CSEC maths, but also NGSA maths. And what that really is that you will have strategic locations, not only in the coastal regions, not only on the coastal regions, but also in the hinterland now, with a schedule every Saturday. And you have communities and students from various schools coming together at one point and being taught. So there are a number of things. So like I said, there has been the maths monitors. We have the maths tents. We have, I have to say this, we have a strengthening of training for mathematics teachers that has been taking place. And I think it has been the most robust that it has ever been in the Ministry of Education in the past few months. So 2 things that we need to work on is literacy and numeracy. Mm-hmm. The literacy, for the first time in 2026, we have commenced the literacy assessment program. So, our intervention, if you want to call it that. So we are starting in literacy assessment at grades 2 and grades 2 and 4. So you will, by the time what we expect out of this program is that by grade 4, every student will know to read. Every student should know to read. And how does that translate to mathematics or an exam? Because if you don't know to read, you can't comprehend the question and you cannot answer the question, right? And it's a big problem. It's a big problem.
They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So the literacy assessment that we're starting is to ensure, look, at grade 2, we have met this target. We have met this goal. At grade 4, we want to ensure that you can read, because by grade 4, you have the entire curriculum that you will be tested on in grade 6. So you have to be exiting primary school fully literate. That's the idea. Now in 2027, we are introducing the numeracy assessment, which will be in grades 2 and grades 4. Grades 2 and 4. Mm-hmm. So we want to ensure that you can understand how you are going to, mathematics is going to be strengthened from that for certain, right? So it's that foundational level that we have to start with. Those are the long-term goals. 1, teacher training. 2, improving our literacy and numeracy by having these assessments. We will continue with our grades 5 assessment, and we will continue with our mock exams for grades 6 and grades 11 to ensure that we can prepare our students better.
On Wednesday, April 29, Linden in Region 10 celebrated 56 years as a town. And one of the exciting events for Linden Town Week 2026 was the 5th annual Regional ExxonMobil Guyana Inter-Schools Kayaking Competition held on Labor Day at Watuka Guest House. This year's competition saw participants from several schools across the country, including Mackenzie High, Harmony Secondary, Christianburg Wismer Secondary, Linden Foundation Secondary, New Silver City Secondary, Wisberg Secondary, Quaquani Secondary, New Amsterdam Secondary, President's College, Hururu Secondary School, Queen's College, and Leonora Secondary School. Congratulations to this year's regional kayaking champions who will progress to the national competition in July. Here's a recap of this week's stories. This week, Guyana took a major step toward strengthening higher education with the launch of the national chapter of the Caribbean Area Network for Quality Assurance in Tertiary Education. This initiative aims to ensure that expanding access to tertiary education is matched by strong, internationally recognized standards. In student development, the JOF Haynes Memorial Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition got underway with Santa Rosa Secondary, Anai Secondary, Fort Wellington Secondary, New Amsterdam, West Demerara, and Mackenzie High all advancing to the next stage. Meanwhile, the Distance Education Unit's Classroom Connect initiative reached students in Region 10 at Bamia Primary, introducing them to educational, broadcasting, and career pathways through the Guyana Learning Channel and EdYou FM. On the national examination front, over 15,900 students sat the National Grade 6 assessment, reflecting a slight increase from last year. Students were supported with study resources, digital learning tools, and ministry-led interventions designed to boost performance. And finally, in sports, Linden Town Week celebrations featured the 5th annual Regional ExxonMobil Inter-Schools Kayaking Competition, bringing together top secondary schools from across the country in a display of teamwork and athletic excellence. Winners will advance to the national competition in July. And that's all for this week's edition of EdYou Pulse. Thanks for watching. Do join us again next week.